Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Email me directly, tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a big watch with a big name, launched in 2019, a local special edition. It's the IWC Big Pilot's Watch Perpetual Calendar Edition Rodeo Drive, dedicated to IWC's point of sale on one of the most famous streets in Southern California. This watch was the second of the Rodeo Drive series, and by far the most complicated. So the watch is large. In black ceramic, it measures 46.5 millimeters in diameter, 15.7 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 58.9 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We will throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and I can tell you two things. First, you need a bigger wrist than mine. I would recommend a wrist of at least 17 centimeters circumference to wear this watch. It's going to overhang my wrist, so 17 centimeters circumference and up. That said, it doesn't sit as heavily as I might expect because the case is made of ceramic, sapphire, and titanium. These are all relatively diffuse and lightweight materials. Taking a quick look, we'll do a cuff shot just so you can see, because regardless of wrist size, cuffs are cuffs. It probably won't fit underneath any kind of a cuff, more because of its width than because of its thickness, which isn't too bad, but it is broad. Now, the timepiece includes a strap that at first glance looks like textile, but what appears to be textile is actually an embossed leather. So you have this textile pyramid sort of hobnail that's been stamped onto the strap. The strap is thickly bolstered. There's a lot of material here. Monotone black stitch, and then on the underside you can see it's more obviously calfskin. We have a brand new IWC factory strap, and it is not crimped, it is not gouged. And we have a lovely media blasted titanium folding clasp. Opens with a snap, closes with a snap. This is here to prevent accidental dropping of your watch when you take it off and put it on. The crown here is over 10 millimeters in diameter, and that's just the crown. You can see it is a diamond pattern with a sharp knurling, characteristic of IWC Big Pilot's watches. It is a screw down, and the watch is water resistant to 60 meters, which on a water tolerant strap would be sufficient for surface swimming with this watch. The case band is familiar to IWC Pilot's Watch and Big Pilot's Watch fans, so we have these integrated lug profiles that are actually fairly narrow when viewed end on. They taper nicely. The bezel is stepped back somewhat from the case band, so it doesn't look quite as sheer, and then there is a little bit of a transition from an almost vertical portion of the bezel to a conical portion to a flat portion up top, so it has three different planes. You can see there are actually some scratches on here. These are not scratches into the metal. They have no depth. What these are, or I should say not into the metal, but into the ceramic. Ceramic is extremely scratch resistant, and when it comes in contact with metal, sometimes that metal gets transferred to the ceramic. So rather than looking at a scratch in the material, you're looking at the remnants of a metal surface that contacted this case and actually got rubbed off of the metal onto this case. This has no depth. It can eventually be erased using a piece of rubber. So you're not looking at case damage. You're looking at proof of just how robust this material is. Almost impossible to scratch it and create any kind of a depth. That's the advantage of ceramic. It's very light, hypoallergenic, and super scratch resistant. You know this watch has never been refinished. Also worth mentioning, it's all of a matte finish, which is in good taste. You can polish ceramic, but I like the combination of the matte titanium and the matte black, because the dial is as explosive as the exterior is subtle. Now, the timepiece features a blue sunburst with instrument-style calibrations. You can see north and south represented by two delta wing aircraft. We have at the top, and we may as well start from the top, the moon phase in the northern and southern hemisphere. We have the instrument-style calibration that's been a characteristic of IWC Pilot's watches for literally most of a century, and it is a slightly off-white print on the blue metallic base. We have four sunken sub-registers, three of which are coaxial indicators. So we have your double moon phase. Note the satination to the moon phase disc. You can also see that we have here the 7-day power reserve as well as the radial date indicator. We have coaxial over at 9 o'clock, the constant seconds and the day indicator. And then we actually have a standalone month display down here. We also have the year, the decade, the century, and the millennium. The first two will change automatically. The other two can be changed by a watchmaker who makes an internal adjustment, and the watch actually comes with additional slides for centuries to come, and I mean eons from now, 300-400 years from now. The watch actually comes with the spare part to update that display. A few thoughts. The watch includes two subsidiary setting modes. One of them is hacking or stop seconds. You can see the seconds hand is now stopped. The watch has a 7-day automatic winding power reserve, though you can wind it manually. And if I were to put the watch in quick set mode, take note, I can actually set everything all at once. And the date, the day, the month, the moon phase, the year, and the decade all adjust in sync. This is the Kurt Klaus designed perpetual calendar system created by IWC watchmaker Kurt Klaus in the 1980s. It is mechanically programmed, so you never need to look up what day, date, month, or moon phase it is. You just set it as simply as you would a Rolex Datejust, for example, and it keeps track from there. Screw that crown back down. I should mention this watch features possibly frivolous, but luxurious resistance to explosive decompression. If you are in an aircraft cabin that explosively decompresses, this watch will not eject its sapphire, nor will it eject its seals. So it's been braced on both sides against sapphire ejection as well as seal compromise if a cabin that you are in explosively loses its pressure. On the reverse side, IWC manufactured caliber 52615, part of the family of large automatic movements that launched as the 5000 in the year 2000. It remains one of the largest automatic calibers in the world at over 37 millimeters in diameter. Bidirectional winding with a 7-day power reserve. It uses a ceramic-based Albert Peloton winding system. This system was developed in the late 40s, industrialized by IWC in the early 1950s. Originally, it wasn't ceramic. We have here ceramic pawl, wheel, and pawls, and the idea behind that is that you no longer need to lubricate it, and it doesn't create a dirt on the movement scenario, retaining all of the underlying advantages of the Peloton with none of the drawbacks. So very shock resistant and very efficient. We have here the 52,000 series version of the movement, which has 2 barrels, not 1, and then the bridges have been skeletonized so you can see the barrels. The advantage of the 2 barrels, not more power reserve, but that the watch doesn't have the huge surge of amplitude when fully wound, nor does it have the perpetually low amplitude for the last 2 or 3 days of its power reserve. There were big issues with the movement swinging too fast and too slow when it was a 7-day power reserve with 1 barrel. That's been fixed with the 2 barrels. Another change, for the 52,000 series, the balance now beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour rather than 21.6. It's free sprung for durability, adjusted in 5 positions, and uses an overcoil hairspring, so it beats evenly, and the hairspring breathes concentrically, as we say, in every physical orientation with respect to gravity. Once again, you can see 6 bar. That's enough on a water-resistant strap to take this watch swimming, all of it pivoting on 54 joules, and then it has all of the features on the dial side. We may as well do a Lume shot because this is a watch that's designed to be enjoyed day or night, whenever big pilots might be flying with their big pilot watches. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.